Allow me to reintroduce myself.
You are now tuning in to the Snap Call Podcast.
There you go. What's going on, guys? Welcome to episode 4. Holy crap, we're moving on fast. I'm Xavier.
Hector.
And I'm Ice.
And Ice is visiting us virtually again. Ice, where are you again? Ocala area?
Panama City.
Panama City.
World
Traveler, man. Ice has had a chance to visit some really cool poker rooms recently. Ice, give us a little rundown of some of the rooms you've been to the last week.
Yeah, I went on a family vacation down in Bonita Springs, kind of by the Fort Myers, Naples area. So I played at the Bonita Springs poker room, which was formerly known as the Fort Myers dog track / poker room. That's a pretty good room. I always like the action there. It's hard during the summer because that's like a retirement town. So it's not as packed, but it still runs pretty good. Unfortunately, I got there kind of like later towards the day. So a lot of these old guys went to sleep, so it wasn't too much action going on. And then stayed in St. Pete, went to the beach, and then played at used to be called Derby Lanes. Now it's Wind Derby. It was pretty packed, to be honest with you. I thought it was going to be empty, but ran pretty good. Played some 1-2 there, not bad. Table I was at was pretty dead, but overall it was a decent room.
And then today
I went to Panama City, and the closest one is Ebro Poker Room, and it's personally I don't like it. It's a dump, but the action was pretty good for 1-2. It's like an abandoned old dog track, 2 tables running. This feels like if you leave like after 9 o'clock, you're getting robbed. Like it's just like the people there are just like what you get in the panhandles, like Alabama, Georgia, North Florida. So it's kind of like, it's not the best crowd.
Yeah. No, I mean, so the last time I played in Derby Lane, well, when it was Derby Lane, was I think I played one or 2 times after we had played before my bachelor party back in, that was 10 years ago, almost 10 years ago now. And then I haven't played in Bonita Springs in probably close to 10 years. So when you sent that video, it was cool to see the upgrades they've made over the years because they did not look like that before. Like I just remember you went upstairs and it was just a crap room. I mean, but the action was always good because you get the snowbirds. But the one you sent us today of that one in Panama City, I mean, that looks horrendous. I mean, it look haunted.
It does.
Yeah, that's where poker players go to die.
One of those tables was on crates, right? No, it's fine.
No, it was bad. It was bad.
Yeah. That's always rough. But either way, you're getting some hands in, man. That's all that matters. Good for you. Happy that you get a chance to try out those rooms.
You know how poker players are. As soon as the game goes, you don't care how the room looks. As long as the action's good.
Yeah. It doesn't matter.
Like if I had time tomorrow after work, I would stop and play a little bit, but I don't.
Yeah.
So that's just, even if the room is a dump, but it's just like you get in a table that has a little bit of action, you're gonna go back. So.
Yeah. I think that's a good point. Like, it doesn't. I think at least me, whenever I try a new room or something, like there's that like slight level of uncomfortableness. It's just like you sit down, maybe it's more butterflies.
Yeah.
And then once you get dealt your first hand, you fold, you're comfortable. Like I'm ready to talk smack with anyone. So. Yeah, no, that's a good point there. What's the next room that you think you're gonna be heading to? Any upcoming trips?
If I have some time tomorrow, this one in Ocala is called Ocala Bets. Okay. I'm gonna see if I stop on that one, but I gotta see how far is it away from the turnpike and see how far like it's gonna detour me.
Yeah, nice.
Because I still have to go to work Wednesday, so if I get out early tomorrow after the meeting, I'm gonna shoot there.
Nice. Okay.
Because what are the odds of me going to Ocala, making a 2-hour drive, and Tampa's an hour, Orange City's an hour from me, so it's kind of hard.
Yeah. Well, head out there, try to get some content, if anything. There ain't much to do in Ocala, that's for sure. I'll be going to, when I go to DR at the end of next month, I'll probably try to make it out to the Hard Rock in Punta over there.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, nice.
Nice. At least do some casino content because I know it's not like a poker scene over there.
Yeah.
But I'll try to do a video or 2 while I'm over there. So I know Josie would probably want to see that hotel as well. But nice. Cool. Well, we got a decent sized agenda today to cover. Of course, front and center of the poker world is the WSOP. front and center of the poker world in terms of individuals is Phil Ivey, and I've been getting railed ever since he won number 11. So Phil Ivey won his 11th bracelet this past week. He won it in obviously a star-studded table. I mean, you're talking some of the top pros in that discipline of poker. You don't really expect anything else from Phil Ivey at that point, just other than to take it down. I think it was like three-handed. He had like the least amount of chips, and he just kind of chipped away, and it was in a game that not a lot of people know how to play. Deuce to seven, low ball, triple low ball, whatever it is.
Triple draw. Yeah.
Triple draw. So like, basically, you have to get the lowest hand possible without getting a straight. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 is the best possible hand, obviously, in avoiding a flush. So it's a cool game to watch. I feel like, and I'm sure you guys think it too. When you watch that game, you're probably like, I could play that.
Yeah.
Like,
absolutely. Because I never make pairs anyway. So
right.
like,
That's what most of your hands look
yeah,
like.
Yeah, that's exactly that. And Raz, I'm like, I feel like I'm playing Raz whenever I'm playing No Limits. It's right there for me.
No, it looks fun. I mean, it looks fun. Like, I'd be interested in just like dealing, and playing that one day. Ice, when you were dealing, did they teach you that game, how to deal that game as well, or?
Raz, yes, but Deuce to seven, triple draw, no. We
Yeah.
learned stud, Raz, Big O, which is this 5-card Omaha.
Yeah.
And that's it, but
Okay.
but they play stud. They play stud every day in Hollywood. Like the older people,
Yeah.
they play. And then Raz is the same people that play stud. They'll do like a mixed game. So it'd be like no limit, PLO, Big O, which is 5-card PLO, and then stud. And then
Okay.
they add the Raz, they add whatever they want. So
Okay, so they just rotate as every orbit, rotate the game.
every 8 hands they rotate.
Okay, nice.
So like every time it goes around like an orbit, they rotate.
I would love to play stud. Like I'll play 1-1 stud if I could. Like just to get my feet wet. Like I think stud is such an interesting game.
Yeah.
It's obviously one of the, like truest to its form type of games for poker and in poker history. So probably the action probably would get me bored after a while, because with stud you can just sit on a stack forever.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But, I mean,
Well,
sorry, go ahead.
they play A16 stud. So it's just like you bet 8, like 8 on the first like 5 streets, and then 6 and 7 street you can bet 16. But it's like you have 7 cards, so like it's hard for you to be heads up. There's always like 4 or 5 people in the pot.
Yeah.
So if you add up, the pots get 100 and something, $200 almost every pot.
Yeah.
So you're not gonna win $1,000, $2,000 a pot, but it gets pretty good.
Yeah. I was like, basically it was like a older like game. That's what was popular. So like playing in college, we played a lot of stud and Chicago.
How old are you?
Everybody liked to call Chicago. Everybody liked to call Chicago for some reason, but it was a lot of 7-card stud, and then even in rounders you see it. Like that's all they played besides the first and last, and them at the Atlantic City, they played stud the entire movie.
Yeah. I like that. They even referred to Chicago, like specifically Chicago. I think in the private game when Worm first gets out, right? Yeah. No. So back to Phil, wins that bracelet, number 11. I thought, Phil's been making deep runs all series, right? Like it was a matter of time before he won a bracelet this series. But I thought the most interesting thing, and I didn't realize, was he has 0 no limit bracelets. Everything is in a mixed game. So obviously we know him as arguably the greatest player of all time, right? And what makes him the greatest player of all time is the fact that he's a mixed game player. He could beat you in any discipline of poker. But I thought that was interesting. I don't know if you guys knew that there's no limit bracelets.
That's always one of the biggest arguments, is like, oh, Helmuth and him, that even Helmuth was like, oh, Helmuth has 17, and all 17 are in no limit and none in mixed game. So that's what shows that, like, oh, he's just a specialist at what he does in no limit. Ivy is the best because he plays everything. And not only that, you can't find these games like most of the year anywhere else. So most of the time that they're playing these, it's in the WSOP, and that's it. So he's
like who's playing Badoogie?
Practice.
Who's playing Badoogie during
what I mean?
No, that's a good point.
We saw talking about Ivy. We saw when we went to the WSOP, we saw Jason Mercier's wife playing pineapple. Remember
Yeah,
at
yeah,
the
yeah.
tables and stuff like
Crazy
that.
pineapple.
Talking about Jason Mercier, he finished third, which I thought was pretty cool. Seeing Ivy and him battling it out
Yeah.
for Bracelets, that was pretty cool. Just because you look back a decade later and they battling out in high stakes, so it's pretty good seeing, especially Jason that he's from Florida and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it's definitely cool. Like, you had that moment watching it where it was just kind of like, you feel like, damn, I'm getting old. Like, because they look old, so I know I look old. And
I
we've
mean-
been, and like I said, 10 years ago we were watching them.
I mean, that's
Still
not the
watching
Jason
him.
Mercier I know.
Well, no, that
You know?
Jason Mercier is
That
like
was-
ripped and healthy.
Yeah.
He doesn't look homeless.
I don't wear t-shirts. I don't
yeah.
wear sleeves.
But I mean, like, but it's just still cool to know. Like, I mean, Jason Mercier, like a lot of other players, like Ivy and Fedor, at one point he went on one of those like sun runs, you know, and like just killed it. And you know, it like we talked about it last week. Like, it's just cool to see really good players consistently play really good, you know. And I think that's just like kind of the message across poker is like that's a really good sign, you know. Like, you get these newbies that think they can, oh, I can just, you know, come through here and just run these people over, and then they're sitting on the rail watching the same people do it 10 years later. So I think that's really cool.
But back to what you guys were saying about Ivy not having no limit bracelet. Everything's in mixed games and stuff. It's just hard. No limit is really hard because limit games and games that you can control, it's hard to get beat if you're playing good poker. Like no limit, one hand can end you. So it's just like it's so hard to win no limit. Mixed games shows better like discipline and better as far as just like overall skill throughout the whole tournament. But no limit is just you guys. We all been in the situation.
Yeah.
You kind of
One mistake, variance.
Yeah. Somebody goes all in with pocket tens, hit a 10, you're eliminated, and it's just like that doesn't happen in limit games. So
Yeah, no, I mean, there's no game outside of no limit hold'em that you're exposing yourself hand to hand as much as that. You know, every other game you can get away with it. You know, in some games like Negreanu will be like, "Oh, I'm coming back with 3 big bets." You know, like in no limit hold'em that's nothing, but in a mixed game that's a lot. You know, so it's interesting. That's a good point, which, you know, I don't think a lot of people will think about when they look at it. Now, with that said, does that reflect negatively on Ivy? The fact that he's not able to dodge some of the variants in hold'em.
Nah.
I'm just saying. I mean,
don't-
but I'm saying, but I'm saying like 0 bracelets, right?
Yeah.
0 bracelets, and let's say maybe it's the variance that's catching up because we know he's gonna limit his mistakes throughout the tournament, right? He's gonna pick the best spots,
Yeah.
but he can't avoid the variance, it seems. So, does that reflect negatively against him, or what's your argument there?
I mean, I don't know his play per se. That if Ivy's ever expressed like, "Hey, I go off a feel or I go off of numbers," or you know, or if he's GTO or whatever, but if he sees a spot, he's gonna go for it, and then the variance is just gonna take it. Is gonna take it. Whereas Phil, you know, on the other hand, he might fold pocket aces for balance. You know, because he's never folded aces before or something. You know what I mean? Or he just feels it coming.
Yeah.
You know, and he could be right, could be wrong. I don't know.
yeah, I personally don't think so. Just because if you look at his game, Ivy's a player that we have a lot as far as just like knowledge of how he plays because in his early career, he was streamed a lot. He was on high stakes poker. He was on a lot of poker games that we can actually see on YouTube or Poker Go and stuff like that. So we can see like the type of skill player he is. And most of the WSOP, a lot of his hands get updates on it, how he got eliminated and stuff like that. So you can see he's not donking off his stack, kind of like Tom Dwan and some of these guys that are good players, been playing for a long time, but kind of like to chase a lot, like to play bad hands. So if it was somebody like Tom Dwan, I would say yeah. But since it's Phil Ivey, just knowing like the way he plays and stuff like that, I feel like he's skilled enough to, even if he has no luck and no limit in these tournaments, he still make deep runs and stuff like that. So that's my opinion.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with you guys. I mean, we've seen him play. We obviously, arguably, but probably obvious still, he's the greatest player to play, right? I just think it's interesting, you know, just the fact of avoiding variance in general, because a lot of other players can do it, right? Like you look at like Joe Cata, right? We're talking, what, 2 main event final tables? You know, like has anybody ever done that with fields that large? Like, so again, we know this. It's not a skill issue for Phil Ivey. It may just be more of a variance thing, trying to avoid that variance. But we know if anyone's gonna pick the right spots to make some moves, we know it's gonna be him. So yeah, no, I mean, good, congrats to Phil Ivey, man, number 11. I just when he won, I wanted him to win, but when he won, I was just like, I already know I'm gonna get some text from Ice. He's gonna be talking smack, but like, I mean, he and just for context, he was not on my Mount Rushmore, but it was not due to skill. It was for a lot of other reasons. But again, he's in my opinion he's still the GOAT. I mean, he's probably gonna win another one. we should have put him on one of our teams. I don't know how we flew under the radar, but
on the first episode we had talked about the fantasy, and I told everybody, hey, Phil Ivey went for $10. That's pretty high for somebody that doesn't play. Maybe they know something that we don't know, and obviously he's playing more tournaments. But back to Phil Ivey, if you checked on Twitter, he was trending. For a poker player to trend to win a bracelet event, that means it's good for poker. So I'm happy he won. And just got, it feels good knowing that consistency, like these guys been playing for decades and still winning, shows a skill game. And also it's good for poker because he's a big name.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, I could still open up Instagram, TikTok, and there's still stories about him popping up. That wasn't happening for the other 30 plus bracelet winners so far this summer.
Yeah.
He secured the number 2 spot of all time for bracelets, which is a big thing. So, I mean, he's obviously
Even if Mercier won, it wouldn't have been as big.
No chance.
All right, so switching up and talking about spots. There was a spot where good old Ryan DePaulo posted this excessive celebration. He posted it on Twitter, and he wanted to get everyone's kind of feedback as to whether or not this was excessive celebration. So let's beat this out really quick.
5, a 10.
Let's go!
Or you
Let's
could
go!
So now I need a count.
Let's go! He thought he could bully me! Let's fucking go!
Now I
You
need a
bubble.
count.
Get out of here!
No, I didn't bust, you crackhead. Go back to your halfway house. I didn't bust. You don't understand how tournaments work.
Good guy.
Oh my god, this junkie is freaking out. Junkie.
One more scream.
I'm sorry, sir.
Great play on the bubble with Queen 7. Amazing.
All right, so the viewers could hear that. Did you get a chance to see that video prior?
Yeah.
Okay, so I was gonna play it again for the sake of so we can hear the audio again. But thoughts on that? Anything kind of stuck out? I mean, it was more funny than anything, and I think Ryan knew what he was doing by posting it. But what were your initial thoughts?
I mean, I think if it was me, I would be upset and I would say that's excessive. But DePaulo does that normally to everyone else.
Exactly what
he probably did that to someone else 10 minutes earlier. You know what I mean? And the guy, they probably were, shit talking the whole way through, and he felt comfortable enough to do that. And then Ryan even coming out calling him a crackhead or whatever. But for me, it was just funny content. Nothing wrong with it. The floor came out and said, "Hey, you're being too loud." Everything perfectly acceptable. The guy calmed down. Let's move on.
Yeah. Ice, what do you think?
Oh, it was funny. It's Ryan DePaulo. If you watch his vlogs, he's like he's at the table and he's like, "Fuck your mother," and he's just saying stupid shit. So it was good to see somebody do it to him, but then also he's calling the guy a crackhead and when go get the pipe or whatever. So it's just it's entertainment.
Yeah.
So I don't feel bad for Ryan DePaulo because he does the same thing, but he's entertaining. So I liked it.
Yeah, no, I think Ryan knew what he was doing when he was posting that. Yeah. He's just getting a taste of his own medicine. The guy probably knew who he was, and if he didn't know who he was, like Hector said, there was probably banter leading up to that, right? So it was a good time. I just thought it was funny that he posted it, and I think originally he was kind of playing maybe like the victim a little bit, and then people were just like, "Shut the fuck up!" Come on, bro. That's hilarious. This is a great celebration.
Yeah, I think the noise level kind of makes it borderline excessive, but like I said, the floor came, shut it down, and the guy was responsive.
The funny thing is, the guy said something along the lines of I didn't lose all my chips. You don't understand the game or something like that. I was dying. Even Boski was in the comments laughing
because he told him. I think he told him you bubbled or something. He was like, I still got chips.
It's on Twitter, everybody was just it's excessive celebration, but it's against you, so nobody cares. All the comments were. It was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
That's been it's been interesting. There's been some interesting stuff that's taken place there at the WSOP lately, between like the excessive celebration, the video of the lady getting kicked out yesterday. Um, there was like an angling argument that took place last night when Chance Corneth was heads up. I don't know if you guys saw that, but it was a spot where he would have been insane to make a call with like 10 high basically. And he was kind of doing this with his cards about to muck him.
Yeah.
But he also had a chips in his hand as well. So he was doing this, and he was
Get a
clearly trying to get a reaction. Ended up folding, and all I thought when I was watching it was kind of like, man, it's kind of angling. Like
Yeah.
if he didn't have chips in his hand, I'd be like, okay, But he had chips in his hand. He's looking for a reaction, and I was kind of happy after the fact that the commentators, the play-by-play, they're basically like, not gonna say it's angling, but I didn't love it. So I don't know what like overall angling ice, like, do they, when you're doing training with poker and whatnot, when it came to like excessive celebrations, angling, like, did you get any training about like managing the table and kind of managing those types of things? Because you played in a very lively room. You played in the busiest room in Florida, lots of lively personalities being down south. Like, did they do any sort of training on that type of stuff?
Yeah, they would like break down the training of angling and how to stop it, how to address it, and if they like argue with you, you call the floor and just they review the cameras and they find it in his hand and gets mugged or whatever. But to be honest with you, if you're a dealer, right, if the player doesn't say anything, you're not going to say anything. And most of the time, as a dealer, if the guy's taking forever, they're not even looking at the player. They either like trying to organize their will, they're looking at a game and stuff like that. It's on the dealer, but at the same time, like dealers don't even care because it's just like a lot of those guys is what tip them, so they're not going to be like, hey, you're angling on a $20 pot. If it's like a big pot, then you say something.
Yeah.
So that's the only. This is the WSOP, so it's just like for tournaments they're a lot stricter. Like you can't fold out. Like if you want to fold out a turn and use the restroom, you're supposed to tell them like, hey, you can't do that. But you as a dealer, you just let them go. You don't care. But in tournaments, you can't do that. Like they tell you like, hey, you have to tell them, like give them a warning and stuff like that. So some players will say like, hey, he can't do that, and they're just like, dude, the guy's gonna use the bathroom. Like he folded. I know he folded out a turn, but it's pre-flop. Like like you come from cash games, you don't care. But like tournaments, are like, hey, you have to do it this way.
Yeah.
I'll say like I typically when I sit at a new table, I'll see who the dealer is. Like if we play Orange City or something, I'll see if we know who the dealer is. 90% of the time, we know who it is. I like when I see a dealer that I know is either gonna like keep everyone in check, or if I don't know who they are, you get that feeling of like they're like strict right away, and you love that as a player because they're not gonna put up with the BS at the table. They're gonna make sure that everyone's kind of in line. It's the ones that like don't have a good hold of the table that are the ones you got to worry about. And not saying that like dealers are bad or anything like that, but like you want the dealer to enforce the rules at the end of the day, like string betting and making sure the big chips are out in front. Like those truly affect the game at the end of the day, and those are often overlooked. But you need a dealer that's going to be on top of that because they're only there for 30 minutes, but the next one's going to come in and may not enforce the rules, right? Or enforce the same rules. And when you're sitting there for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours doing a session, you want some consistency. So I do appreciate when a dealer knows how to manage the table at the end of the day.
I got one story. It was a 1-2 game, right? This guy went to bet, right? Somebody raised 10, right? And this guy went to re-raise it, right? He grabbed 25, like $5 chips, 25, right? And then before it landed, he said all in, and he threw it, right? And then the guy threw to a $25 chip, right? But then I heard him say all in, so I had to say, hey, all in, right? And he's like, oh, like it's $25. Like he said, no, he said all in. Oh, why would he throw 5 chips? Why wouldn't he just throw 1 chip? And it's like that was a nasty angle because like we play poker, like it's you're gonna go all in, like you either shove your host or you say like all in. Like you don't grab like a $25 worth of chips, like 5 reds, and say all in.
Yeah.
So and then they were going back and forward, and it's just like I told the guy, like, hey, technically the all in is binding because he said it first before the chips land. I can call the floor. They call the floor and stuff like that, and the floor is like, yeah, it's all in. right? And then the guy that angled was just like, oh, you know what? Forget about it. Like, just fold and give me the $25 then. And then they ended up doing that because the guy was like, I don't want to call my whole stack, but it was a nasty angle. Like,
Yeah,
I told the guy I was kind of angling, and he's
yeah.
like, oh, I didn't mean to do it on purpose, but it's just like, who does that? Like, who grabs 5 chips, like $25 worth of value, and say like throw it and then say all in before it lands? Like,
Yeah.
that's
I mean,
angling bad.
how many times over the years have we heard call all in? Like we've heard that so many times. Like it's nuts. But yeah, people don't realize the power that you know verbal communication takes place at the poker table. It triumphs everything. You grab a dollar chip, throw it in, but if you're saying all in right beforehand, you're all in. Like it doesn't matter. Um, cool. No, that's good to know. I've always kind of wondered, like, you obviously get the formal training on how to deal and everything like that, but it's good to know that you get that training as far as like making sure that the table you have the personality to keep the table in check. I think that's really important.
And the
Um,
1-2 tables are the worst. Like the 2-5, 5-10, 25-25 PLO, they run themselves. Like those players will keep each other in check.
yeah,
Like they'd be like, oh no, like you have to. Most of them know how to play the 1-2. You have new players, and then with like other older players, and then like they try to get away with a lot of stuff. And that's the worst game to like manage is a 1-2 game.
yeah. I was gonna say because you got the people that are reloading for $60 every 2 minutes, and then at
Right.
least in the mixed games, you got the like you said, you got the older guys that can manage their games. Half the time, they're correcting the dealer on what the pot should be because the dealer can't count it out right. Like, yeah. So, no, that makes sense. That makes sense. So switching up gears real quick. We talked about like integrity in poker, right? And we don't want to like talk about the shadow that all these stories cast, but we find ourselves here every single week, and we got to get used to it, right? Because that's kind of what comes along with poker. But men the master win, all right. This past week, he's had two different instances where he's been accused of cheating. No, this guy needs to retire. I don't know how he's not banned from all these casinos by now, but he's get accused of cheating multiple times a year, like
Yeah.
and twice in 1 week. A quick breakdown of the two he was involved in. One was an all in. I think it was like a multi-way pot, and basically he basically pulled back $4 million or 4 million chips out from like a side pot, and the dealer didn't realize it. And basically, the guy that ended up winning was shorted 4 million chips. It was caught on camera. It was brought up to the floor. Everything basically. Long story short, of course, those men the master win that pulled it back. They didn't do anything for the guy. Yada yada. It was a whole crap show. And then of course, you got to take his character into account or his history. And then there was also another verbal communication issue where him and a guy were basically like, that was a call, that was an all in, no, it wasn't, yes or no. He said, she said. Long story short, when they went to go review, he lied, he was wrong, and he had to pay up. So this kind of just kind of goes back right to what we were talking about last week. What do we need to do, right? Let's put together a list for WSOP. What do we need to do to get these types of players out of there? Because the history's there, and there's multiple offenses. How do we stop that? Do we just ban them?
I mean, with the pulling of the chips, I would ban them, just off of that one. The verbal communication. I mean, you have the eye in the sky, you have the videotape and all that to prove. And that could be a simple miscommunication. Like the guy just had a brain fart and he grabbed 5 chips and he meant to say call or raise or whatever, and he said all in by mistake. I don't know. That it could happen. So you got to give people the benefit of the doubt in that instance. But to pull in 4 million out of a pot when you know that is not your pot,
No.
that's blatant cheating, and you should be gone.
All right, so what do you think? I mean, like, some ideas thrown out there, because the way I look at it is just like, after I think you should get like X amount of offenses, right, for the course of WSOP. Like, you get one warning for like an excessive type of infraction, like literally get written up,
Yeah.
and then if you do it again, you're out. You can't do another event for the rest of that year, and then if you repeat it next year, you can never do another one. And then so we're talking be banned from all Caesar's properties for playing poker. I mean, it might sound excessive, but this guy's a serial cheater. Like, what do you do? I don't know, Ice. What do you think?
All right. So first, they need better dealers. You're not supposed to take 4 million from a pot and the dealer not notice. Like
Yep.
it, because you're supposed to keep your eye on the pot and the players as well too. They train you as dealers. You have to make sure that doesn't happen. Two, we all play blackjack. We all play table games. If we take back our money, the floor, the pit boss, security is going to be on top of you. Like the same thing should go with poker. You take the money back, that's technically stealing the chips, right? So you're stealing. You call security. They look at the footage because those cameras can see everything. Like they can see what you're texting. That's how good those cameras are in the casinos. You stealing, you should get banned, or even you should go to jail just because you're stealing money. Like you're stealing from a casino. You do it in blackjack, you go to jail. Like it is what it is. Like and then you get banned from all the properties. I feel like that's the only way you can control this because there's no action. Like okay, they give me a warning. People are gonna try it. I mean, you're playing for hundreds of thousands of dollars in these poker tournaments. So it's just like, but if you have that, hey, if I take some chips back, I can get locked up or I can get banned from every Caesars, like you said, every Caesar casino property. Like you're gonna think twice about doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, I think there just needs to be like written warnings given to these people so they can't say like, hey, like it wasn't communicated, right? Like something on paper, every floor manager and all of the WSOP needs to be on the same page, send out a report on a daily basis like, hey, this guy's got an infraction, he does something again, he's done for the series. Like it's just crazy. I mean, so you got Man Master win, right? We're talking drama, we're talking multiple offenses the past week and then over the course of the year. Our buddy All In Ali, Ali I'm terrific, something like that. We know him as All In Ali. He made it. He made an appearance in the 1500 shootout last week. He's been accused by many of his peers at the highest levels, like Alex Foxen for cheating, multi-accounting, and then also like real-time assistance, like in live tournaments as well. The only thing he really came out and admitted was the multi-accounting during COVID. But supposedly there was some RTA stuff going on there during live tournaments itself. So like, you're talking people that are cheating live, and then you're talking people that have a history of cheating. So you got Men the Master win cheating, then you got Ali, All In Ali showing up, and he's a known cheater. Like, how do you get these guys away from the game almost, right? Like in these like open events. And I laugh because, last week you said it's a game of integrity, and then Veronica Brill, who thank you for engaging with our content. She was like, "Oh, that's cute when you said you think of poker as a game of integrity," but we like to think that, but obviously it's not, right?
I mean, I know. Yeah, I like. Listen, I get it. We're bluffing. We're lying. Believe half of the things you hear when you're playing. I understand all that. Bluff is basically lying. It's a game of misinformation and deception. But I feel like the rules are set in place so that we weed out all the extra stuff for the integrity of the game. What can we do with Ali? I mean, Ali. Listen, the WSOP is not poker. They're their own entity, so unless they're doing something at WSOP, I don't think there's really anything that they can do. Just like Chris Ferguson, like he, effed us all with full tilt, but he's still over there winning bracelets because if he can handle the public scrutiny, then he should be allowed to play. Men the Master right there is doing it at a WSOP event, so they have cause and they can get rid of him.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think when you look at All In Ali showing up, Men the Master win, it's tough. I mean, poker and at its core is, we don't want to think it's a game of integrity. Obviously, it's not. Like you said, it's a game of deception, right? I mean, a lot of people like to, they liken their chips in front of them to the cash that they paid to buy into the tournament. So you're taking their chips, they're looking at it as almost as like a form of stealing, right? So it's tough. It's very much not a game of integrity when you have shady characters around. I just wish that the WSOP could do something to keep these people away. I mean, I think when I think Veronica Brill, I think Mike Postle, right?
Yeah.
And you think of the cheating that took place in these live streamed games, like she can vouch that, there's only so much you can do at the highest levels, which is unfortunate, but I just wish that there were things in place to keep these shady characters away because these are the type of people that give poker a bad name.
Yeah, I mean you can't ban Mike Postle from WSOP.
Nope.
You know, because what he did was over at Hustler.
That's tough. That's tough. I mean,
Yeah. So my opinion on that is us, the poker community, when we see these guys at a WSOP table or at a tournament, we should make them feel so uncomfortable, like they don't want to come back.
Yeah.
Like I don't care if it's just like everybody at the table is like, hey, like to Chris Ferguson, hey, you cheater, like keep stealing money and so make them feel uncomfortable. Like just because if they can't get banned, we have to do something as poker players in the poker community to keep these guys off the table.
Yeah.
And the same thing happens in sports. Like when A-Rod got caught with steroids, every time A-Rod would travel to a different city, they would chant A-Roid and they would boo him, stuff like that. We should do the same thing as a poker community. Like you sit at this table and we should needle them. We should talk shit to them and basically make them feel uncomfortable, make them feel like we don't want you here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think that point just emphasizes something we brought up last week where it's like, why is it taboo to hold these people accountable? This is why it's important to hold them accountable. Poker community is not a very big community. Like you said, we make these people uncomfortable. We continue to bring up their past. Over time, they're not going to be showing up to as many games as possible, right? Like Chris Ferguson, when we were still going to the WSOP events, he was showing up all the time, and you see videos, you see people giving him crap while he walks through the hallways. Yeah. Not saying he's not showing up anymore, but you don't see that much about Chris Ferguson anymore, and for good reason. So it's exactly why it's important to to continue to make those people uncomfortable. And when you go back to like Veronica Brill and how she just would not drop the fact that she knew he was cheating on those live stream games, like you gotta love that because she knows he's gonna go do that somewhere else, and it's just gonna continue.
Yeah, but we don't condone bullying over here at Snap Call. Just throwing that out there.
We condone some ass whoopings, but not some.
Held accountable. Yeah. Hey, real quick. I mean, just because we were talking about integrity, this is why I love Teddy KGB over at Rounders, because even though he lost and he was, and he was irate and he was like, "This mother check all night, he trapped me," and he could have just had him killed and kept all his money. He said no. He beat me straight up. Integrity of the game. You lost, you lost. You win, you win. And you move on.
I still think about that scene because I'm just like, man, he really let him show up knowing he was going to owe him all that money in a couple hours. And he still let him play with his money, essentially. And then still let him, essentially, I mean, it's interesting because, like you said, he could have just straight up whacked him.
Yeah, that's why the only bad guy in the movie is Worm because he didn't respect the game.
And it's not necessarily bullying them. It's these guys are thieves. They
what about
stealing.
Mike McD? He knew he was a mechanic, and they worked together. Man, you like to turn a blind eye only when it's convenient for your point.
I don't know about that one.
Like Chris Ferguson, Mike Proctor, whatever his name is, they stole hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars from other players. So it's just like I don't see making them uncomfortable as bullying because these guys are thieves and stealing from innocent people. So it's just like they deserve what they get. I don't feel bad at all.
Yeah, no, these are dudes that are lying under oath. Like they don't care. These are bad apples, man.
Like somebody told you, oh, that happened 20 years ago. I won't feel bad. I tell the person, well, mind your business. Like I'm telling the guy something, because it's like they stole from innocent people. Yeah, like there's victims out there, So it's just like I don't feel bad for them at all.
Dad joke. Ice is cold.
Ice is cold. All right. Switching gears. Ice, take us to our next topic, please.
Yeah. So on to it sucks that every time we talk about cheating and WSOP and a bunch of scumbags.
That's the community we're in apparently.
Yes. But there's also some good stuff going on. So we have the famous commentator from UFC, Bruce Buffer, finished 8th in the 50K high roller. That's pretty awesome. What are your thoughts on that, guys?
Chip in the chair, man. Chip in the chair. Everybody has a chance. I mean, it's not the 250 we were talking about, but that's still impressive, man. I mean, just to get to a final table in general.
Yeah, I think it's beyond just getting to a final table. He's playing with arguably the greatest players in the world, right? Because only those that are fully bankrolled are going to be buying into a 50K tournament.
Yep.
And there's going to be, and we're talking the best players in the world because they're going to skip 1,500 tournaments, $800 gladiators, $300. Like, they're going to skip those because to them, this is a marquee event. So for him to place 8th amongst arguably some of the best no limit hold'em players in the world is amazing. I mean, that's just amazing.
I think there was 171 entries or something like that. So to finish 8th, it's in a 50K high roller. It's not like just any event. It's the 50K, which, like Xavier said, you have the cream of the crop playing that. You have the best poker players from around the world.
At
Even
least
I feel like
120 are pros.
Yeah, there's more talented people at the 50K. I feel like than the 250 because the 250 you get like 50 or 60 guys, and some of the real talented guys can't afford a 250.
Yeah.
Like 250 is a lot for a tournament.
Yeah.
So it's great for poker. He's in UFC. He can promote it. Most likely he's going to come on a Hustler stream and stuff like that. So it's good. It's nothing but good news for poker.
Yeah.
And it shows the average Joe can buy into the tournament, play against the best, and compete.
Yeah. No, it's definitely cool. Now, real quick, Bruce Buffer has obviously grown in popularity from UFC over the last decade plus.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever happened to Michael Buffer?
Didn't he like announce the Shuffle Up and Deal, like the original one for the series?
I think he used to, but does he still do it?
I thought he did it this year. So
okay. I was wondering because I'm like,
get out
these days we hear Bruce Buffer all the time, but I'm like, whatever happened to Michael Buffer? Because that's who we grew up on, like was Michael Buffer. So man, I mean, I like Bruce Buffer. He's got his own style, but it's just interesting.
I think Michael
older.
Buffer had that crazy contracting with HBO Showtime.
Oh, so he can only do like certain things.
Well, he's 79 years old for one thing.
He probably can't get it up there anymore.
Yeah,
I heard that.
Yeah,
so that's pretty good. And then also some other good news. We got Scott Seiver. Not just final table. He won the second bracelet in the $1,500 Raz event. This guy's on fire. And the best thing I like about it,
kicking myself, I didn't pick him.
Yeah, the interview he said after. He said, it's late. There's no other tournaments I can register. Now I jumped into another one, which means like he said in the interview, he wants to win 3 or 4 this summer. So that's great news. We're going to see him in more tournaments. What are you guys' thoughts on Scott Seiver?
Yeah, I mean, I said it last week. When Scott Seiver is on a run, he's on a run. Like he's just playing good poker, and he can string a couple wins together. And we've seen it before, and here he is doing it again. When we talked about like Mizrachi, like you just see one here and then maybe one over here, but you don't see them playing consistent, amazing poker for 3 or 4 tournaments in a row. Yeah. And I think that's where he's at. He's in the zone right now, so he's doing great. He's up there for Player of the Year. Whoever picked him on the 25K tournament is feeling pretty happy too.
Yeah. No, I mean,
see which team he's on.
I mean, it's just we talked about it before. Like when these players they start stringing some wins here and there, all that's gonna do is that's just gonna encourage them to play even more events and more events. And then that's just gonna bring their A game. So Mizrahi is sitting, he's in an event right now. He's probably sitting there chomping at the bit, like I gotta take down another one if I want to keep up with him. And obviously he's got the skill to do it, but it's nice to see really, some of the best players in the world be at the top of the Player of the Year standings because it's just gonna bring out a more competitive fire out of them versus like a random Joe that wins like the bounty and now he's at the top of Player of the Year, but yeah, he's got the bankroll to play more tournaments, but does he have the skill to continue to win at a high level? Yeah. You see someone like Scott Seiver, two bracelets. He may have locked up the Player of the Year for all we know at this point because he's just going to keep playing well, and he's just going to continue to do more tournaments. So that was 6. Was that 6 for him total or no?
Yeah.
No. Yep. That's
right?
6.
That's a 6, right? Yeah, because him and Mizrahi had 5 each, right? Wow,
I don't know. He's on team AJ Eagles. I don't know who that is, but this AJ Eagles team is they have 3 bracelets already. They have 2 from Seiver, and they had John Hennigan as well.
And how much did they bid for him?
Seiver went for 37, and Hennigan went for 24. The most expensive person he had was Arthur Morris for 47, and Max Coleman for 45. And yeah, they had David Peters for $13 with a goose egg. So,
It's for Scott Seiver, you have to be loving it. You have
Yeah.
2 bracelets and 40 events, give or take,
yeah,
plus or minus 2, I think that's going on now. And then you see yourself first in Player of the Year points. You feel like nobody could beat you. You feel like you're running like God. So it's just like
yeah,
you pretty much not half Player of the Year locked up, but if you keep cashing, unless somebody else wins their second ring, it's going to be hard for you to lose Player of the Year.
yeah.
Because just like you have like the chance to be to win a ton of money, win Player of the Year, and dominate the WSOP for this 2024 year, just because you have 2 and 40 events, which is sick.
Yeah. Well, just to show how competitive that 25K fantasy is, that team, like I said, has 3 bracelets and they're in 6th.
Holy cow! Who's in first? What does the first place team look like? Who's on their team?
I John Racner,
Okay, so he won
Robert
one, right?
Mizrachi,
He won one.
David Coleman, Bryce Yoki, Ben Lamb, Chris Brewer, Brian Raz, Jerry Wong. So basically, the main thing I see is that you have two with over 100, and then everyone on the team performed. Whereas the AJ, like, yeah, you have
There's no
those
goose eggs then.
3 rings, but yeah, they have like 4 people under 10 points.
Didn't Wong finish second to Phil Ivey?
That was Wang.
Wang.
Right.
His cousin. Oh man, we're gonna get canceled. All right. Yeah, no, I mean that's cool stuff. Like, I mean, that just continues to hammer home the point of
Yep.
seeing great players
Yeah.
continuing to kill it.
Good job, Scott. I know you
Shout
watch
out
us
to
every
Scott
night.
Seaver. Another thing I've been looking forward to in the WSOP is this $1,500 double board bomb pot, no limit PLO mix.
Yeah, that's a
I
mouthful.
wish I saw more updates on Twitter and stuff like that to see how
Yeah.
it was actually going. Like actually see like bomb pots and stuff like that. But I didn't see too many.
Yeah.
What are you guys' thoughts on that?
Well, right before we started, I got a notification that Joe Hashem's son is in the final table of that. So that was cool to see. You know, father
He could
son
back
passionate,
now.
All right, we're-
passing off the torch.
We're pulling it up
Other than
because
that, I don't have anything.
I knew that tournament was going on, and in my head I told myself, watch, follow along so you can kind of see how these hands are playing out.
Mm-hmm.
But I've just been doing such a bad job about that. So 5 left. Hatchem's son's in 3rd place currently.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if we can see what some of these hands look like. Let's see. Blind on blind. A hand played out pretty decently easy. Bomb pot time. Look at that. I don't know. I mean, so we talked about it
So
before.
how's it working? Is it like every 8 hands there's a bomb pot? Is that what it is, or like end of every level? Or something?
We could find out right here. Let's look at the structure.
I think it's every hand, right?
So the double board bomb pot occurs on the first hand of every game change.
Okay.
So they probably do
Every 8 hands.
8
the game
hands.
changes.
Yeah. So every time it goes from PLO to no limit, and likewise.
Okay.
Okay, that's gotta be a lot of fun though. I mean, we've talked about it before the series, right? We talked about how bomb pots galore at the card rooms and the casinos now. Before it used to be like 5 and up, 2-5 added it. Now you got the 1-2 tables adding it.
Yeah.
So even the lowest of stakes are doing bomb pot boards. I love it. I mean, it's obviously a gambler's game. I mean,
Yeah.
if it's not your style, don't play it. But I mean,
Yeah.
that's what you go for. You go to gamble. These are the types of events that are going to continue to pop up. The bounties are getting big.
Yeah.
I mean, this is exciting. This is
How
an
are you
exciting
navigating
tournament.
this? Like are you like me personally? I'm focusing on no limit, and I guess I'm trying to lower the variance in PLO, and I probably will just try to stay out of the way unless I just flop the nuts on the bomb pot.
I mean, so you I mean, I think
it's a whole new structure for me, so I don't know.
yeah. I think the best way is right. Like, you got to obviously take advantage of the game that's your strength. So whether that's PLO or no limit, and then I think everyone's strategy for the most part is being overly aggressive on the bomb pot, or simply avoiding it unless you flop the absolute nuts. Like, I mean, I think that's most people's approach.
Yeah, or are you going for it, even just if you're trying to split? Because you're getting everybody else's
Yeah, I don't know. You're
everybody
doing
else's entry either.
you're doing
You guys
two
see
full-
the math on that, right?
you're doing 2 full boards. You're assuming that there's 8 people. You're playing at a full table at all times.
Yeah.
I don't know. What's the structure look like?
I don't know. We should
And
put that.
This
in
is
our
this is the
next-
crazy thing. It's a great structure. 40 minutes levels, and then it goes to 60 on day 2 and 3. So it's not even like a turbo 30-minute.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking
Yeah,
40
you're
minutes.
getting a lot of play.
You're getting a lot of play. You're starting with 25K in chips. So, I mean, yeah, that's a great structure for a very degenerate type of tournament.
Should we change one of our next tournaments?
It will take
have bomb pots.
it'll
at the
take
end of
about an
every
hour
level?
to explain to people at our games what a bomb pot is.
Yeah.
Well, back to that bomb fights. You just go back to poker. Just no
It's no limit.
post flop
Yeah.
action. So once the flop hits, then you actually play poker. You just play 2 boards. You
Mhm.
play your percentage, and if you have one guarantee locked up,
Yeah.
you try to get all your money in, because the worst that can happen is you can chop. Hopefully, you can get the guy to fold if he doesn't have the absolute nuts on the other board. So
Yeah.
it's just like a lot of people say, like they don't know how they play it, but once it's just regular poker after there's just no pre-flop action. So it's just
Yeah.
like once the flop hits, then you actually start calculating.
Yeah.
But you just have to play what board, like,
Yeah.
hey, I got the nuts on the top board, but
Hold on.
it's
Yeah,
PLO.
I guess
You
I guess
know how
you
the
got to
nuts
be in it,
PLO
because
is.
if I'm seeing, hey, like I'm just thinking pot odds, like, oh, there's a lot of money in the middle. Like, even if I have open-ended straight, like things I probably wouldn't go for, I would go for, because there's so much money already in there. You know what I mean? Which make me feel like I wouldn't last long.
Yeah, I don't know. What's crazy is like I think we're missing a big point here. Is we're used to playing bomb pots, no limit hold'em bomb pots. They're playing a round of PLO bomb pots too. So like you're talking not just you're holding 2 cards with 2 boards. You're talking everyone's holding 4 cards with 2
Nobody's
boards at
folding.
1.2.
We're gonna have
So
to
like
watch that later.
that part didn't even occur to me. Is the
Yeah.
PLO bomb pop when that round comes around?
Okay.
Holy cow, that's gonna be
You didn't have enough cards?
So while you were talking, I was doing it in my head. I'm like 8 players, 4 cards. That's 32.
Yeah.
You got 2 full boards, right? That's 42, and then all the burns. You got enough cards. Dealer's gonna have like
Yeah.
1 card left, but yo, PLO bomb pots in a
Wow.
1500 tournament. That's got to be a lot of fun.
Double bomb pot, double board. That's what's crazy.
Ice. When we look at next year, we got to look at the date for 2025 double board
Yeah.
bomb pot, because we may have to free roll from the Harrah's roulette table if
I
we want to
wouldn't
do that
mind playing-
event.
I wouldn't mind playing this.
Yeah.
If they have this the
Who
same weekend as the shootout,
Listen, man.
that'd be perfect.
Listen.
I'm trying to shoot for 2 weeks at the WSOP next year.
Let's make it happen. All right.
Even if I have to work remote for a few days, 2 weeks.
That's the
Nice.
glory of working remote, man. I was working
Yeah.
today at the UCF baseball camp.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
just the flexibility of just having
Yeah.
working remote is freaking awesome.
If I was in the WSOP for 2 weeks, I think I'm playing dailies every
No,
every
man,
day.
just I think it's
And then if I get 1 win, then bam, put me in an event.
for me, if obviously if we went out there for a decent amount of time, we probably have our 2-3 tournaments that we're focused on, and then the rest is a mixture of cash games. And honestly, I'd probably avoid the dailies. I probably play more satellites to get into other events. Like
That's a good one.
I'm not trying to play
Yeah.
15 hours, and not saying that those tournaments don't play well. There's good value, but
Yeah.
I'd rather pay a little bit more and play a satellite and try to get into more bracelet events.
Yeah. I watched, I think it was the Troopers vlog. I don't know if you guys ever watched him. All he did was just grind sit and goes all day, like for the WSOP.
He still does that? I remember before he
Yeah.
used to do that.
I
Right?
did like 5 or 6 sit and goes or 11 sit and goes. He would just count them off, and I was like, dude, that is a grind. Like, it doesn't even sound.
That doesn't sound fun at all. At
you
all.
know? But I mean, it's his game. He wins.
Good for him.
Yeah.
All right, Hector, take us away.
Yeah. So just like Ice, I kind of had an itch on Father's Day weekend. So Father's Day weekend, dad hat, got my kids on a golf shirt that I got. So all dad Father's Day. So Saturday night, I was just like, man, I want to play, but I knew I wasn't gonna be able to get away. So I finally fired up ACR, and I had like less than $1. So I went into an 11-cent tournament, But we final tabled. We final
Oh
tabled.
my god.
And here's a hand that I just, let's throw it out there for the viewers, okay? So I'm in the big blind and I have 40 bigs. The table leader, the final table just got together. So I really don't know anything about it. Most of the people. There's the cutoff raises to 2x. I call, and the flop is King 3-5. I have and there's 2 spades. I have King 9. All right, so I have top pair. Cutoff had a raise pre-flop, so I checked it, thinking he'll c-bet. He bets half pot, and which is about 161K. I call. The turn is a queen of hearts. So now there's 2 hearts, 2 spades. So and it goes check check. The river is a jack offsuit, doesn't matter. I check and the river bets pot. The villain bets pot 17K. So it took me a while, but what do you do here?
He raised pre. He's betting flop. Checking turn. Betting river. You're sitting there with King 9. Am I right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we're talking no flush on the board. Obviously, straights out there.
Yeah, his pot is not all in either. He had
You're 40 bigs.
probably like 10 bigs behind him after that.
I mean, that's tough. I mean, I'm wondering. I mean, I guess I'm trying to think of what he's doing, but I'm also thinking about your logic, checking at him.
Yeah.
With when you paired a king on that flop.
Yeah. Well,
what was your logic there?
My logic is that he has position on me for one. I could be outkicked. 2. There's what do you call it? There's the 2 spades out there. 3. So I want to keep it low. I don't want to fight for stacks with just top pair, being out of position like that. Also, he was the aggressor. He was gonna. I felt like he was gonna c-bet, which he did, and I was fine with calling that. It wasn't like over betting or anything like that. What threw me off a little bit was the check on the turn, and then him betting so big on the river for pot with the jack. I mean, you have a lot of things that beat me, so it's just a pair. The flush is the only thing that doesn't really get there, but you have a straight possibility. You have 2 pair, you have 3 of a kind, you have all this stuff. So yeah. What do you do? I feel like I'm 50-50 with being good. Because I feel like I also gave him the opportunity to bluff, so it definitely could be a bluff. But it like I said, it took me a while. So I just wanted to get.
Do you have King 9 suited or?
No, it's offsuit. It was king. If it was suited, I probably would have 3-bet.
Yeah, honestly, personally, out of position, I wouldn't even call that.
Yeah.
Okay. I wouldn't call that raise with King 9 off.
Yeah.
And once you king, I don't think you should check there.
Yeah. So I wanna talk about how you played the hands.
Oh, yeah.
But I want to answer your first question about what we're gonna do, and then we can talk about how you played the hand. 2 things that reek to me from the villain. I'm smelling misdraw here potentially.
Mm-hmm.
He could have had the spades, maybe with the ace of spade, and maybe he missed.
Mm-hmm.
He could have had some sort of combination of a straight, and he misses. Although the jack probably gets there.
Yeah.
On the river, so that's interesting. Or he could have had friggin' aces, right? And just but him checking on the turn doesn't make sense to me either.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm you in this hand, I'm probably folding on that. You can easily be outkicked. I'm guessing he probably had some sort of misdraw or something. I'm not sure, but obviously you don't know if you fold. But I'm probably laying that down on his river bet. I mean, that's a lot of money he's putting out there.
Yeah.
For King 9.
Yeah, the plan was to check call anything under like 3/4 pot, because I feel like that's just like he has to take a stab at it, even if he missed.
Kind of priced in.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And think it would have been, and I, like I said, I was chip leader. I had enough chips. I could have called an all in and still be okay. Um, but yeah, the fact that they did pot just threw me off, and I didn't know where to go. And usually when I don't know where to go, I'm folding. You know what I mean? Just not to make a mistake. I eventually did make the call though, and I didn't believe him. And he had queens.
Wow.
Yeah. So he
So-
drilled the set on the turn,
And he checked it.
and yeah, and he got me. So yeah, I wasn't out of the tournament. I ended up getting second. So that was a good Father's Day weekend for 11 cents. Made
So-
a nice $8 profit.
So let's talk about how you played the hand, because I'm interested. So the king 9.
Mhm.
This is the final table.
Yeah.
9 left.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're talking a full final table here. I'm guessing your thought process here was it's just a 2x. You're just gonna defend from the big.
Mhm.
You mentioned how when you hit the king, you thought in your head I could be out kicked.
Yeah.
What were you hoping for?
That he would have.
Well, I'm saying, like, usually when
Yeah.
people say I could be out kicked, it's kind of like, well, you want to hit a king,
Yeah.
but in your head, if you're thinking I could be out kicked, why are you playing the hand in the first place, right?
Okay.
Because you want the king to come out.
Well, I think in the cutoff he's wide, right? So yes, he can have king 10 and up, but he could also have shit. Can't even think of what kings that he would have down. But I mean, anything suited maybe. If it was suited, king 8, actually
I think
I wouldn't go with those for.
I'm just thinking, like,
Suited.
because the thought process is
Yeah.
if he's holding a king, right?
Yeah.
And if you're calling that flop, you
Yeah.
want to hit a king, but if
Yeah.
the back of your head you're thinking I could be out kicked here,
Yeah, maybe
Probably-
being out kicked is probably the wrong thought.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, his lower kings isn't really raising in the cutoff.
I mean,
But other hands obviously are raising in the cutoff, like ace 4, ace 5,
yeah.
anything
I think-
like that. But being out kicked specifically, yeah, I think you're right on that.
I think if you made the call and you hit the king, you have to lead.
Yeah,
Just to see where you're at.
or check
Because
raise.
if he raised, you could put him on ace rags, and then the turn is an ace, and then
Yeah,
And
you're
even
not
then, on
calling.
ace rags on that board, he's
Yeah.
drawing to
Yeah.
a wheel too.
yeah. I mean, not
Yeah,
knowing
so it's
queens,
like-
but if I check, it should be a check raise.
So
Knowing that he's gonna stab and knowing that I flop something and I'm thinking that he is wide,
yep.
that he would fold.
So
Yeah.
that's what I was gonna say. How I would have played this is I would have 100% check raised him on the flop. Because if you're truly thinking I could be out kicked here, you shouldn't be in the hand. But if you're thinking there's a potential I'm out kicked here, check raise him. He only raised 2x pre. Check raise him and see how wide he really is, right? At worst,
Yeah.
he's probably calling you. He's probably not going to overbet, right? Or re-raise you. I would probably see where he's at. And you have a ton of equity regardless, knowing that you have a king if he does call you, right? So if he folds right there, you're happily taking it down. If he calls you, then you have a good understanding of where he's at. He's probably got a strong king. He probably doesn't have aces puts because he's probably going to be re-raising you in that spot. But my move there to kind of get a good understanding of where he's at is probably check raising him.
Yeah.
You checked every single street there. What was your thought process there?
Honestly, my thought process was I only have a pair. I want to keep it low. I don't want to battle each street for just top pair with middle kicker out of position. I have the chip lead. I don't want to, I don't take chances I don't need to take. It's just the beginning of the final table, so I don't really know much about anybody.
But then you
that
called
was-
off
yeah,
717,000.
Yeah, that's why I time banked it all, and I was just like, this is like, don't do it, do it, don't do it, and then I pulled the trigger. I played great the whole tournament, but this was the one that was killing me. And you see, like I'm not in any trouble or anything like that, but it did bug me at the end,
You got good showdown value in the king.
Yeah,
So if you're gonna check it, I will fold to bets, especially that big of a bet.
yeah,
If it was like you're priced in to call, like a little bet, maybe. But with that big of a bet, especially you check, you want to get the showdown cheap.
yeah.
like the moves before didn't justify the call.
Yeah.
So if I was you, I would have folded, just because if
gotcha.
you felt like you were out kicked and you didn't bet, you shouldn't have made the call on the river.
Mm-hmm.
I think this goes with something I've mentioned before to you. That's kind of like the idea of like
Yeah.
you're trying to limit almost how much you lose versus trying to win the hand.
Yeah.
And I think I mean, obviously in retrospect, right? Like we're talking retrospect, but just without knowing what he had and knowing what you had, you would have took this hand probably down on the flop.
Yeah.
If you played the hand to win the hand versus, because you even said right now, even after you knew the outcome, you're saying you're trying to limit, which tells me you're trying to limit your exposure, your losses.
Yeah.
You're trying to win the tournament.
Yeah.
You know, so I think, especially being the chip lead, right? Or would you chip lead?
Yeah, I was chip lead.
I knowing that you're chip lead too, like that screams even more that you need to be check raising that flop. I think.
Yeah, I agree with you guys.
Yeah,
I agree there.
It's a tough hand.
I don't mind bet on the flop, donk betting on the flop, but I think I like check raise the best there.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't lead out flop. See where he's at, and then once he raises, check raise him, and then if you check raise him and he calls, your decision on the river is that much easier when he leads out for 7-17. You then know that you can let that go.
Yep.
So,
you are correct.
Well, you finished second for what? About
it's like
number 10 for McDonald's. That's what you're picking up tonight.
Yeah, man, it was good.
Now we're $8.
Yeah, not in this economy.
Yeah.
Not in this economy.
But it was good just to get back to the old clickety click.
Yeah,
You know,
that's a good one.
Played in so long.
That's a good one. We should do that more often because that was good to kind of kind of go through that.
All right, so moving on, golf shirt, U.S. Open, just finished up this weekend. Bryson DeChambeau wins at Pinehurst for his second career major at the U.S. Open. Now, did he win or did Rory McIlroy lose it? They were tied up into the 18th hole. Rory had missed 2 putts within 5 feet in the last 3 holes. So he bogeyed the last 18th hole, which gave Brian, it's still not easy to do this, especially at Pinehurst. But, he gave the opening to DeChambeau, and DeChambeau took the shot and he wins.
Yeah.
So do you think he won it or did Rory lose it?
I mean, it's. I think both things could be true.
Yeah.
Bryson earned it, right? He entered the final day. I think he had like a 3-stroke lead. So he was playing out of his mind for the first 3 days of the tournament anyway.
Good.
So it wasn't like he got this surge, on the back 9 of the last day. Like he entered the day in the lead. Rory shot up the leaderboard and absolutely killed it.
Yeah.
I think it's a mixture of both. I mean, Rory didn't make the putts when he needed to make them.
Mm-hmm.
But if I had to pick one, I would lean towards Bryson. Him getting out of that bunker to set up for that final putt to win it down, knowing the shot he had right before that was insane, like insane. Bryson's just a fun guy, man. Like I know he's gotten a bad rap leading up to this, but in the past, couple months to a year, he's starting to warm up to people. He's good for golf. He's really good for golf.
Yeah.
He's real fun. He's really good on social media. It's kind of hard not to root for him. If I had to lean to one, I'm gonna say Bryson deserved it, but Rory definitely. It should have went to a playoff at a minimum.
I mean, listen, PGA versus Live is still a thing, you know what I mean? And nobody really wants these Live players to win. But DeChambeau winning and then Brooks Koepka winning earlier. You got to give them their respects. I mean, maybe there's something to it of getting a big payday that you relieve some pressure and you can just focus on playing as opposed to needing the payday. But DeChambeau walks away with $4.3 million, and Rory gets a measly $2.3 million in second place. So I don't know how he's gonna live, but I'm sure he'll find a way.
Yeah.
All right. Let me give my thoughts on that. First of all, congratulations to Bryson. He played great. He had the opportunity to steal the tournament, and he took it from Roy.
Yeah.
But for me, you can put the Reggie Miller choking
Yeah.
for Roy. You're arguably a top 5 golfer in the world right now.
Yeah.
Roy. Been for like the last 5-6 years.
Yeah, he's my favorite.
Rory?
Yeah, I like Rory.
A putt within 5 feet, that's like
Yeah, it's
Steph Curry,
automatic.
I think 2 free throws in the last 3 seconds of the game. Like,
Yeah.
you're not supposed to miss that, especially at his level. So for me, he choked. And it's not just the money, because he just got $50 million for staying loyal to the PGA.
Yep.
Tiger got 100, and Roy got 50. So, but it's just like a major that you lost out because you didn't make a putt. And just to say how bad he choked, social media is killing him with the. I don't know if you saw like what they were making fun of him that he couldn't make the putt within 5 feet.
Yeah,
it's like the gimme.
The-
They like him, so it's just like if it was anybody else, like not to that caliber, then you can say okay, but
Yeah,
you supposed to make.
he knows what to do. He's got four majors under his belt.
Yeah, and he hasn't won one in 10 years.
Yeah,
he's on a drought.
He knows what he's supposed to do.
Well,
they're human, they're human, and I know I'm missing those putts. You can put me 5 inches from the ball, I might miss with that much
I know
pressure.
who's missing it. Xavier, he showed us a bit.
You saw I was draining those the other day.
It was like 25-footer.
No,
breaking news.
That was about
Xavier hits his first birdie.
That was about a 3-footer.
Yeah,
but I almost drained like a 18. I drained like an 18-footer at Dubs Dread that day. Moses had the perfect view.
Yeah,
I missed like a 20-footer on Saturday, but if I drained that would have been nice. But no, what's funny is like when Rory was shooting up the charts, Rory is going through kind of like the divorce like drama and stuff. But then right before the tournament, they announced that they were calling off the divorce and they're staying together.
Back together.
And man, some of these memes, man, after the tournament, it was just like, the divorce is back on. I was like, damn, man, that's so messed up. But
I think my favorite one obviously I don't want him to get a divorce. I don't wish divorce on anybody. But it was he was like, the biggest plot twist will be that he gets divorced and then he takes an $800 million check from Liv.
Man, I saw something else that was just like, it's like Liv's got to be kicking themselves in the butt, right? Because they paid Bryson all this money to come to Liv, and then when he plays on these tournaments with some PGA players, he's the most popular player, like amongst the PGA players at this point. But yeah, no, shout out to Bryson and getting that second career major.
Not easy.
No, golf right now is just like, it's just, obviously getting into it more, playing it and stuff. Like, I find it fun to watch on TV because I'm just like, here we go, par 3, 180 yards. And then it tells you what they're using. And then in your head, you think, I need to bust out like my fucking 3-wood for that. And these guys
hard this is.
These guys are like busting out a freaking 7-iron and they're hitting it 250 yards. Like it's insane, man. Mm-hmm. It's insane. But, good stuff there. So you're a Rory guy.
Yeah.
You said.
Yeah. I enjoy Rory.
Rory, pick like a couple guys. Like, so you're a Rory guy. Who else
Rory,
do you cheer for?
I mean, even though I just shitted on Liv, I like Brooke. I like Brooke. I feel like he's such an asshole that it's like, in an interesting way.
I was literally talking to my neighbor about that, about how he just comes across as such a d-bag.
He does, but I don't know. I enjoy it. It's like a WWE, like good guy, bad guy. But I like Rory.
The thing is, he's not acting. He's really a d-bag.
Yeah. That's why I like Rory, because he also like shoots from the hip and says what he says, but he says it in a good way because he's a good guy. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I guess I like the candidness of it. But of course, Tiger. Tiger's up there. And yeah. Oh, and I'm trying to sit. Not Tony Finau's cool, but I'm trying to think of the Indian cat.
Thegala?
Yeah.
I like Thegala.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, so like,
Colin, the Asian
Marikawa.
Yeah, Marikawa. Yeah.
I was gonna say, like, these fields are so big, so it's like it's hard to just cheer for one person, right? I was definitely cheering for Finau yesterday. I'm a big Finau fan. I love the whole like family traveling with him. Like I think I follow his wife now on TikTok because she be posting some funny stuff. But
she puts all his gear out.
But she posts like the Nike parties they go to and the gear they get. Like it's super cool. I'd say I like Tony Finau. I like Bryson. Not just because he won. Like I just love his content. He's a funny dude. Like
yeah, Scotty Scheffler. You gotta. I mean,
he'll post like his he'll buy like the cheapest full set off Amazon.
Yeah.
And he'll go out and play it and film content. Like what other guys doing that right now?
Yeah.
You know. So I like Finau. I like Bryson. And if I'm thinking more of the younger guys, I like the Gala. I like Morikawa. Yeah, I'd probably say Thegala. I like Thegala. I like his whole story that you kind of see with his family and on that Netflix special. So
yeah,
I don't know.
I gotta go with Scheffler. Number one guy, but puts God first, so respect him for that.
I like Scotty Scheffler. He's the beast, and I like Cameron Smith too. I like Cameron Smith.
Oh, and Justin Thomas, JT.
Like them.
So there's.
I feel like I'm missing someone I really want to say, and I don't know why I can't think of their name.
Yeah.
I'd say Tony Finau's probably my one guy right now, and then two's probably Bryson. But I feel like I'm missing someone. When you said Colin's name, I thought about it, and then I couldn't remember the other guy's name. But
there's like a young kid that he just came on. He was in that Full Swing documentary this first season too.
Oh yeah.
Right? He was like 18, 19.
I just started season 2.
Oh, okay, yeah. He's another Asian kid. It's like 8 or I think so. He's like 18, 19, and he's on the tour or whatever.
It's crazy, man.
So apparently, you could just call yourself a professional golfer now.
Me?
Like there's no.
It was just one birdie, Hector. Relax.
Like there's no qualifications for it. You know what I mean? You could just say like, yeah, I play professional golf.
That's interesting.
Interesting. Or you have to have. Don't you have to have your card? Like,
well, that's just to be a PGA player, or be a live player or whatever it is. Like you get sponsorship or whatever. But if you literally just wanted to like quit my job now and say I'm a professional golfer, I could just do that exactly right now. Kind of like with poker, that I could just quit my job and say I'm a professional poker, even though I never go play. You know what I mean? Right?
You got to make money doing it.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's that caveat part. But you can go to all the small tournaments around the world and play. At all the clubs.
Yeah. Like the good golfers, they play golf 24/7, but they're not professional golfers. They're content creators that play golf.
Yeah.
So it's different being a professional golfer.
Yeah.
I feel like you're throwing that too lightly. Like anybody can be a professional. I feel like there's stages to that. Like there's levels to it. Like you need your card.
Yeah, I mean, are you going to be profitable and can you actually, sustain yourself? That's one thing. You know what I mean? But I think I just meant the qualifications of saying it.
Yeah. Speaking of cards, the pro, like every clubhouse has like that one pro that does the lessons and everything. I think his name is Michael, the guy at Castleberry. I follow him on social media. He was at Royal Links in St. Cloud doing some sort of like tournament or whatever in order to get like his card.
Yeah.
And he said he, I guess, passed it or whatever. So he got like his like card or whatever to be, I don't want to say like certified, but like he could technically like qualify for the tour or whatever it is now. I don't know exactly how it works, but he was telling us on Saturday, so I thought that was really cool.
I think with that card is you're eligible to play in these tournaments to qualify to make the cut. Like without the card, you can't get in.
Yeah, so he technically still has to qualify, but he has the card to get him in the door, right? So
cool.
Yeah, cool. All right, you want to wrap it up, Hector? What we got here? One more. I think there's one more topic here.
Well, we got Game 5 going on right now. Mavs and Celtics. Is that?
That's the live score. What's the score?
86-67. Oh my god.
God, bro.
Mavs are coming back.
Yo, so the finals was decided when the Nuggets lost, because the Nuggets would not be losing 3-1 to Boston right now.
I mean, this is what everybody's been saying since the beginning of the playoffs. Nobody's beating Boston. It's just
I don't know.
We don't want to see Boston win.
That wasn't me. I was very much along the lines of they're beatable.
Yeah.
I mean, there's obviously, we talked about it before, like there's a knack on Jaylen Brown. He disappears in the playoffs. He can't go left. Don't get me wrong. During the Pacers series, he was the guy and not Jason Tatum. So I know, he's kind of stepped it up, but they just have a really good role players, man. Like people are just hitting. Everyone's hitting shots. You got Drew Holiday looking like a freaking, everyone's playing out of their mind on that team right now. But then think about the Mavs and how they got here, right? They got here because Luka was shooting 40 times a game. Like that was not against a team that's as balanced as the Celtics. That was always going to be a problem.
Yes. For me, the Celtics, they playing good defense, but the Mavericks, like Luka and Kyrie, they choke. Like you're supposed to. It's a finals. You guys got to be averaging. Luka got to be averaging 35 to 40, and Kyrie got to be averaging 30 to win, and they're not doing that. So,
yeah. I mean, I'll be honest. I can't name, and if I sat and thought about it, I'm sure I can. Maybe name one other person, but name me the Mavericks starting five. Name me two other players other than Irving and Don. You know what I mean? Like I would struggle, and I'm not gonna say I watch basketball as closely as I did before, but for teams in the finals, like that says a lot. Like you can't name the starting five. Like I just couldn't. I'd struggle, and that just goes to show how they got there. It was really a 1A, 1B, and there was no second, third option. I mean,
yeah. Well, they picked up PJ Washington at the trade deadline, but he's not doing anything. Yeah, so it's just like, and then there were other guys, the defensive players, but they're not really shutting them down. So it's just like the offense goes to Kyrie and Luke and Kyrie, and they're not performing. Like plain and simple, to beat the Celtics, they have to put up 65 to 70 points a game to win, and they're not doing that.
Yeah, that's tough.
Pococo,
so
stud final table. James Opes and Paul Volpe.
Paul Volpe?
Yeah.
I had James Opes, I think, on our last fantasy team.
I was gonna say I thought I had Paul Volpe in mine in the one we had a couple of years ago.
Yeah. All right. So speaking of fantasy, what happened next?
I knew it was over when Jason Tatum came out in the Maybach today.
Oh my God, I saw that. He was playing. He was blasting Drake or something when he was doing.
Yeah.
He's focused.
Whatever. At least
they didn't get swept.
The thing about Jason Tatum that's gonna bother me, he's gonna mention Kobe like 15 times in every single press conference tonight, and it's annoying because he wants to be linked to Kobe so bad, and I know that's like a terrible thing to say, but like make it about you, like he's been doing this for like the longest, and it just rubs me the wrong way. I feel like how he's kind of continued to do that, and I guarantee you there's gonna be some sort of quote tomorrow morning where he's doing that, and I can't stand that. Anyways. Speaking of fantasy, real quick before we wrap it up, y'all ready to see an updated score? Yeah. This is as of this morning, not what's going on right now.
Oh man,
this was really hard to post and create because of what my team is doing. But I put on the.
Hey, I know I had a big win, but Ice just
listen. I put on the limping his pimping shirt on. Daniel, limping his pimping shirt. We put it on today. We need Daniel to carry the fantasy team because no one else is doing anything else. But here we go. Let's take a peek at the fantasy standings as we speak. Ice leading the way with 275 points, man. Oh, my God. Ben Yu, Chance Cornett, freaking got him like 100 points combined in the last day and a half. Ice is absolutely killing it. Good job. Hector, very close at 182. And I say close because even though it's about, give or take 90 points, that doesn't account for two players on Hector's team that we need to sit and calculate points for at some point.
I know Ryan's got some.
And Ice, there's still a person on Ice's team.
But nothing deep, so they're going to be like 1 or 2 points.
So Brad Owen for Ice, and then Cherish Andrews. And then for Hector, we still need to calculate for Ryan DePaulo and the senior citizen that he drafted. Forgot the name. And then
talking about the senior citizen, I thought there was only 3 females that should have got drafted, and the other one was Maria Ho. She's playing good.
Yeah,
she's been catching.
If you rewind it, I said it's between Maria Ho or this girl, and I picked this girl.
I'll be honest,
bad choice.
Like obviously, there's a lot of really good female players out there, but I don't know how she didn't get drafted. I thought in my head, Kristen Fox, no brainer, number 1 for women. And then Maria Ho was 2. So when she didn't get picked, I was surprised.
Yeah, we should have just stuck to like who's on this thing. So it would have been.
Well, next year we'll do that. Next year we'll stick to who got drafted there, just so for points purposes, it's a lot easier. But next year we need to expand this. I think we need to go up in players and invite more people. I know Polarizing Chris, he mentioned like this would have been something he's interested in. So we should expand it next year and kind of see if it catches some more interest.
Well, I wanted Kristen Foxen, right? And then it was between Cherish Andrews and Maria Holt as the second best female out there. But I was scared Maria was going to do a lot of like commentary and wasn't going to be in a lot of these events because she does a lot of stuff with different poker, like Poker News, Poker Go, and everything. Like she's an ambassador. Yeah. So I was like, she's just probably going to do a lot of commentary and not playing in some events. And I just didn't want to take the chance. But she's playing in events and she's cashing. So shout out to her.
I would have considered. So I had Kristen Fox 1. Maria Ho was in my mind, but the other person I had in my head was Tiffany Michelle. And I remember she responded to me on Twitter because I commented on something, and I was just like, hey, like, are you going to be doing a lot of events? And I think she said she was only going to be doing like 3. And I was like, oh, okay, never mind. Like, no point in drafting you.
Oh, only 3? Nope, eliminated.
Yeah, no, you're out. But it's funny because we talked about how like Moneymaker said he was only going to play 1 event.
Yeah.
And then he played in the very first event. So now, granted, he's playing at all of his events at the MGM Grand for the Moneymaker Tour. But, yeah. But I'm at a measly 95 points with about half of them coming from the Granu, the Foxens. I would not want to be in the Foxen household right now. It must not be a happy place because neither of them are doing well. What else? Who else is doing? I mean, Aldemir is not doing really
Ryan
too much.
bagged.
But let me get there, Hector.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Ryan Slocum, the sleeper pick, the Grim Reaper from Michigan, bagged in the Monster event. No one was going to draft him. We drafted him, and mainly because he's a buddy of ours, and we're wishing him luck out there in the WSOP. So, Ryan.
I wouldn't mind losing to you, bro.
I think he's in the money. I think I checked on Twitter. He just cashed.
So that is points. Let's go. So Ryan was messaging me saying, "Hey, we got this. The Foxens." We were kind of going back and forth a little bit. Let me go to the snap.
What's he in the Monster stack?
Monster. Yeah, he's in the Monster. He bagged day 1.
So that's definitely more than 1 point because it's dependent on how many people are in.
So
he said, I think he put on Twitter 1 for 1. So big shout out, Ryan.
I'm trying to get to his page, but of course this is just not gonna work out. Ugh. All right, so that's points from Ryan. And listen, all I need is points. Yeah. A decent deep run, and we'll be chilling. So let's see. Ryan said in the money at the WSOP Monster Stack, 1 tournament, 1 cash. All this is on a 20K free roll. Let's repost that bad boy, living the dream. So there you go. Got some points. He's got more points than Phil Hellmuth. Jesus. Holy cow, that is terrible to say. God dang. Well, anyway, wrapping that up. We'll do another update on what the WSOP looks like fantasy-wise for next week. Ice, are you going to be here virtual, or are you going to be with us next week? What's next
I'll
week?
be there next week.
I don't even know what next week is. Okay.
Friday, I'll be there for the poker game, and then Monday.
Yeah. So let's real quick, Hector, let them know about Friday's game. What are we expecting here?
Okay, so
let us know about what Victor's saying.
Yeah, so Friday is going to be our 3rd Snap Claw League Poker League tournament. Normal no limit. We're doing it on a Friday as opposed to a Saturday, just to accommodate some few people. June is a busy month. But it seems like, I don't know, we might keep doing this because it looks like we're getting our biggest crowd. So yeah, we're really excited about that. Have some players reaching out like, hey, do I change my strategy with this many people? Like, no, it's still 9 people at your table. Variance might get you. Try to watch out for that, but it's still just a friendly game of guys playing poker.
Yeah. No, we're looking at about potentially about 21, 22 total people, assuming everyone comes through. So we'll bust out 3 tables. Quick rundown of what our competition at these tables look like. We're probably looking at about 6 or 7 solid players, probably about 3 or 4 really good players, and then the rest is just guys that want to learn the game,
just want to get out the house,
and guys that just want to get out the house. So that kind of tells you what's all in between there. We got to get together, maybe throw a little cash bounty out there just to kind of keep things interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll return.
Double Vorn Bomb Pot.
Yeah, let's. Yeah. I was actually thinking maybe we pick a chair in advance, put a bounty under the chair, and then maybe like on our once that person gets knocked out or something, they got to take the envelope out, hand it to the person that bust them, and then there's a prize in there. Something, I don't know. Keep it live. The tournaments continue to get more and more popular, so we'll definitely give you guys updates and let you know who won next week, and then also look at the standings.
Yes.
Hector's in first. I'm tied in second with someone that absolutely has no business being in second place.
Yeah.
Shout out to Nick.
Chip in a chair.
Chip in a chair. And Ice, we don't talk about it. It hasn't been. We haven't brought it up because it's a sensitive subject.
Ice has been a really good dealer.
Ice has been.
Listen, I ran deep.
He's
both
our
tournaments,
number one dealer.
But
Listen,
hopefully this
it's kind of easy to
around.
run deep when there's 20 people.
Yeah,
I
didn't
made the
rebuy
final
last-
table.
I didn't rebuy last tournament, so I wasn't getting hands.
Yeah, no, it's been tough. It's been tough sledding for Ice, but the cool thing with our structure is if this guy doesn't place and I don't place, he takes it down. He could arguably be in second, third, or it could be in
Leader.
first row. And if we're talking 21, 22 runners,
Yep.
probably about at least 30 total buy-ins for this next tournament. At least I'm hoping.
Yep.
A lot of points are up at
A
stakes.
lot of poker to play.
A lot of poker. We're not even halfway through, and I'm just already thinking about who's gonna win and what tournament we're gonna get them a buy into. So that's gonna be exciting stuff.
Yep.
Other than that, made a post earlier today about our T-shirts. Our T-shirts are on our website. If you use code WSOP on our website, you get free shipping. So definitely check that out. You can also watch our podcast on our website and just kind of learn about who we are and see our other social media channels. We'll see you guys throughout the week, posting more content, keep you updated on the WSOP. Anything else I'm missing?
Nope. Like,
That's it.
subscribe.
Like, subscribe, engage.
us.
Appreciate all the love recently. Lots of love on Instagram right now. We're loving the growth, loving the engagement, guys. Other than that,
If you guys have a hand that you want us to go over, we could do it on air. Let us know.
if you're calling off 700,000 and you don't like your kicker, let us know. We'll let you know if you did the right thing. We'll catch y'all later, guys.
Peace.
Yeah, I'm feeling myself right now. It's a new year. We about to do this. Let's go. I feel like the king of my city. Tony Montana. Whole lot of bands I gotta spend. I might go cut me a mansion.